Tonight, opposition NDC accuses government and the NPP of orchestrating plot to secretly register party sympathizers for the NIA Ghana card after police raided a private property last night.
We heard the belief also they are engaged in a secret and unlawful registration of MPP members at the blind side of everybody in order to increase the numerical strength of the MPP members for the purposes of registering them as voters for the 2020 elections.
As police launch a manhunt for two officials of the National Identification Authority, we'll hear from the authority as they admit the equipment used for the illegal registration was theirs.
I am informed that the police have looked at the equipment, they have conferred with our officials in the field, and it's been accepted as one of our equipment. So that is something I can say.
Also tonight on Top Story later, NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo in fresh trouble as CID names him a suspect in recent cases of kidnappings and fire outbreaks across the country. The NDC is already condemning the CID actions as Mr. Ampofo is asked to report himself for interrogation.
No amount of harassment of our national chairman will save the NPP from defeat. Indeed, it is a sign of desperation.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, also brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and nationwide health insurance, your healthcare family. Something you're watching for you tonight closely. An invitation that the CID has tonight extended to the national chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, in which they name him as a suspect in the recent kidnappings and fire outbreaks across the country. Fascinating story. We'll bring details of that to you shortly. But first, the opposition National Democratic Congress is tonight accusing government and the NPP of plotting to roll out a scheme to secretly register people for the Ghana card. They have been detailing what they claim to be their evidence following the seizure of some equipment belonging to the National Identification Authority at Kaneshie. Now, their party has been addressing a news conference, and we have more on that shortly. But firstly, police is tonight on a manhunt for two officials of the National Identification Authority accused of illegal registration from a private residence. Now, the Kaneshie police is currently investigating the matter and says equipment and registration materials retrieved Tuesday night have been identified as belonging to the National Identification Authority. Today, the police have been interrogating the landlady who owned the property in which the illegal registration was happening. They've been interrogating this woman in the presence of NDC executives. My colleague Matilda Omega has been there and joins me in the studio with details. Explain to me the circumstances surrounding this particular interrogation.
So, Evans, what we are told is that the police got information of this illegal registration yesterday. That was Tuesday evening, around 9 o'clock in the evening. So when they got this information actually is coming from constituency executives of the NDC in that particular area. And this is North Kaneshie. I'm told it's close to the St. Teresa Catholic School. So it was a residence close to this particular school where these NDC executives got the tip-off, went to that house, seized equipment. And we're told that the equipment that the police is currently having includes a fingerprint machine, registration forms, scanner, voter's ID, a laptop, among others. So these items were seized and sent to the police station at Kaneshie. The police went back to the residence with the NDC executives and then some residents of the area. They stormed the house. When they went there, the two NIA officials who were doing the registration, as at the time they picked the equipment, were not there. So they were not there when the police went back to the residence to look for these two. So they left the place. So this morning, it was the landlady of the house who the police has been interrogating, asking questions who exactly these two people are.
But in that meeting, in that interrogation, was an NDC executive?
Exactly. That was Joshua Akamba, the national organizer of the NDC. He was part of this meeting, and he had this to say briefly after the meeting.
If you look at the NIA rules, they say we cannot use voter ID card to register. We have information in our possession that they also actually, in some cases, they accept the voter register. We also had information that they steal at night to register and print. Particularly this one we are handling with again is yet confirmation of, as part of the suspicions and the information we are getting, that they register people at night and print out from them. This information is that I have said that when you go to the branches, you notice that at the branch level, when you speak to a branch executive, they are able to tell you who MPPs are. In this case, a woman that I'm told is aspiring to be an assembly member, who is actually...
Who exactly is this woman?
He's called Gifty Barton, who herself is aspiring to be a member, actually aided them and gave an accommodation to them to stay and register. You know that the NIA...
Stay and register where?
In the bedroom and the kitchen. I mean, the woman did confirm that as even the printing machine was set up in the kitchen. That it was set up in the kitchen. In the bedroom, our branch executive actually moved to the bedroom to pull these machines out.
So it wasn't even in the compound
No,
of the
not
house?
in the compound, in the kitchen, in the bedroom. And the woman just confirmed it to us. Now, we have the NIA officer, the district officer himself, who seems not to have idea of where the machine was gotten from, but rather identify that, yes, that's their machine.
Okay. So do we know the exact people who were registering this,
Oh, yes.
these
I
people
mean,
last
names
night?
have come out, one Frank and one Paul. They are at large. Currently, they are at large. The machine is here. Yesterday, what we did was that we got some cards at the place, at the premises. We got even a passport at the premises. We got the birth cert, we got the forms at the premises, and they were all deposited with the police last night. I can also assure you that the police are being professional, but from where we see the matter going to, there will be a break to it. But as NDC, as your national organizer, I would say that let all NDC wake up and move into houses or community where we know this registration is going on, and if there's anything you suspect is happening, please let's effect the citizen arrest system.
Well, Matilda, the police also spoke about this. What more are they telling us?
So ACP Edward Fachikume, who is the divisional police commander of Kaneshie, has been giving details about their search last night.
We received a report from one Abraham Nikwe, who was accompanied by Alexander Niana, that they had information that the ongoing national ID card registration, some people were doing same in a private house around St. Teresa's school. So they went into the house and removed some of the materials that they saw in the house and came and made a report to the police. Subsequently, our men on duty went with them to the house, but the two NIA officials who were reported to be staying in the house, they were not met. The landlord was met, and then she was invited to report to the police this morning. This morning, she reported, and we've interviewed her as to what actually was going on in the house. We've also spoken extensively with the complainants who reported the case. We've spoken to the district EC official responsible for the area, and we are yet to get the two NIA officials who were staying in the house.
And we know now there's a manhunt for these two officials. Listen, this isn't the only key issue with the NIA registration in the last few days. There's another issue where NIA officials were suspected to be registering foreign nationals. We have an update from the police on this shortly. But on this subject of the illegal registration in this private property, Matilda, you've been speaking to the NIA about this.
Yes.
You spoke to the spokesperson, Palmdetti.
Exactly.
What did he tell us?
So he says they have identified these equipment and they belong to the NIA.
We are not at this moment engaging in any kind of institutional registration, let alone having equipment sent to a private home to register at any point. We are focused on mass registration. Registration centers are sited in public spaces, and we expect the general public to show up at those centers. Members of the community where the centers are located should show up, register, and have their cards.
Mr. Palmdetti, what do you know about this house in question?
I do not have much details with respect to the house, and I only know it is in one of the areas where we are having registration. Those details I believe the police will provide. But just to reiterate the fact that we are not conducting any form of registration in a private home. So if at any point members of the community see registrations going on in a private home, they have a recourse to be alarmed and to inform the police.
Have you identified these equipment used in this particular house?
I am informed that the police have looked at the equipment. They have conferred with our officials in the field, and it's been accepted as one of our equipment. So that is something I can say.
There were two officers involved in all this. Do you know them? Do we have any details about who they are?
We can always identify those officials. So investigating or tracing any kind of activity on our system is not difficult. Okay. We can always tell who has logged onto a system, at what time, which day. We can always tell. So I am aware the police would get in touch with us to find out how we can assist them to arrest these individuals.
I just spoke with the commander, the divisional commander of Kaneshie. He says they can't locate these young men. Since yesterday, between yesterday and now, have you made any contact? Do we know who exactly? Do you know the names behind these?
With the police, I'm not aware the police has reached out to us yet. I don't have that information. But I know once it borders on crime and law enforcement needs the help and assistance of the authority, we'll not hold back. We'll provide any information and assistance they need from us.
But NIA as a body, have you initiated any process beyond what the police is doing? Have you initiated any process to identify who exactly these men are?
We are doing our own internal investigations, and we believe that whatever we unravel would be useful to the police. We can't put that in the media or in the media space. It would end up jeopardizing the investigations.
Well, the NDC has, in the last couple of hours, been addressing a news conference, and they've laid out allegations that this bust by the police is part of a plot orchestrated by the government and the MPP to, in essence, get their sympathizers registered as part of a grand scheme to use the NIA card as the sole basis to register to vote. Listen to the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Peter Tukuno.
Now we are being ushered into a new realm of another Akufo-Addo of pretended irregularities, where the NIA's ongoing registration exercise has been hit with a massive fraud, irregularities, and wanton abuse of the process. It was detected and reported that some officials of the NIA were illegally registering some applicants who are perceived to be MPP members in a house apparently owned by an MPP member in Awudome, near St. Teresa's School at North Kaneshie. This registration exercise was being done after registration hours, around 8 p.m., 3 clear hours after the close of registration. They were busted by some vigilant members of the community who had observed the suspicious activities for some time before deciding to confront the personnel involved in this malpractice. It has also been alleged that the daughter of Victor Newman, a presidential staffer and a close confidant of President Akufo-Addo, who is interested in contesting for Okaigwe South parliamentary candidature, is behind these operations and has been acting through one Gifty Boateng, who is the landlord of the house where the exercise was being undertaken. We hold the belief also that the MPP are applying two-pronged approach in this operation. Firstly, by the elimination of the voter ID card as a document to be used in the registration exercise, thereby disenfranchising a lot of grassroots voters who constitute the bulk of the support base of the NDC. Secondly, they are engaged in a secret and unlawful registration of MPP members at the blind side of everybody in order to increase the numerical strength of the MPP members who hold the Ghana card for the purposes of registering them as voters for the 2020 elections.
On the phone line with me right now is the MPP Director of Elections, Evans Nemako. Evans, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
You're welcome, my brother. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Also on the line with me right now is the national organizer of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Joshua Kam. Mr. Kam, I'm grateful that you joined us.
Thank you so very much, and greetings to your cherished listeners.
From the report I've just been given by my reporter today, that you were indeed in the room when the police interviewed or interrogated this landlady whose residence was used for this illegal registration. And I know some of your members were vigilant enough to alert the police to what was happening. Did you find any evidence to support the claim we've heard at the press conference that this is an MPP plot?
Good evening once again, and good evening to your cherished listeners. I can assure you that I was there from 9 o'clock last night till this morning, about 12:30, that I left the place. And it was evidently clear the frustrations of this district officer of NIA, who actually was so frustrated, and actually in some of the remarks, this is the trouble they put us in. We sit here, and then they impose people on us, and this is what has happened. We don't even know them. They are coming from the headquarters, and that were the comment that was coming from the district officer. And in fact, he did indeed repeat same today at the office. And I will tell you that yesterday when I got there around 9:30, this system was still on. You will see the numbers that I've registered from about 100 people that have registered already on it. And what really happened was the landlady, according to her today, when the interrogation was going on, was that the thing started about a week ago, that they will do it, they will register them, and after registration, they will give them they will come and then present them with a card, and they will leave. And like rightly so, my colleague Peter Otokuno said that this Gifty Boateng was aided by somebody to allow this gentleman to come and stay in that house and do it. And what is intriguing is that foreigners actually got themselves. I met one man when I was leaving. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said he was chasing them to collect his ID card. I said, "What do you mean by collect your ID card?" He said, "I have to pay those officials for them to be able to register me, and then I have to follow them to collect my..." I tried to get him even to the police. Oh, then he also bolted away. I'm sure he said that there was a trouble coming up. So he went away. So I'll tell you that if he did, Evans, remember that the NDC, we said we were not going to be part of it. It was when Professor Atifua had met us and was telling us and introducing the whole scheme of the voter registration Ghana card issue. We saw some fraud in it. We said, listen, we don't think this thing is going to be genuine. And for that matter, the NDC was not going to be associated with it. We will not be associated with anything that is fraudulent. Today, we'll be vindicated by the things that we said, that we're not going to be part of fraud.
Mr. Kamba, my fundamental question was whether you found any evidence. Your reference was to the district director who you said was frustrated and said in essence that people were imposed on them from the headquarters. I'm assuming his reference was to the headquarters of the NIA and not the headquarters of the MPP. And so where is the evidence there?
Okay, so we'll find out. I mean, you will find voters' ID card, social security card, We'll find birth cert. We also got the forms that they were using to endorse them in. Voters ID card, is one of the crime to be part of it. To be used to register. It was part of the process that was going on. And that, if you see, there's a picture that I even took the voter ID card and took a picture of it. And it's with the police. It's in the possession
Did you
of the police.
Did you find any of these people wielding NPP party cards, executives, etc.? I want to hear the evidence, really, because that's what the basis of the press conference.
Obviously, if Evans, one thing you should notice is that in our branches, why we work a lot with the branches, is that the branches, if you enter a branch now and you want to identify the number of MPP people within that branch, you'll be able to know. If you want to know the NDC branch members, you'll be able to know. So our people actually identify the house, and for that reason, my other colleague mentioned the name, Mr. Boateng, who is a known MPP person. He's mentioned Mr. Newman, who is also a known MPP, a confidant of Nana Akufo-Addo, actually as being part of those who were aided in getting this thing done per the information we are getting on the ground. So they are actually members of the NPP.
Yes, I want to bring in Evans Nemako, who is the Director of Elections for the NPP. Mr. Nemako, you've heard the allegations. Is the NPP involved in getting people to illegally register your sympathizers and party activists to get a Ghana card?
Evans, thank you very much. I don't think we should waste our time to discuss this NDC allegation. I think they are so confused. They don't know how to string together logically the issue they want to present. We all heard ACP Edward Kumi, who mentioned that there were complainants and is being followed by his men, that there's a house around St. Teresa's. It was reported to them that the people in there, the NIA officials, were doing registration, and they move in there. Why would we allow the police to do the investigation? The issue of Otokono, massive fraud, irregularity, Akamba saying that the officials, the person said they collected money to pick their ID card, linking Mr. Victor Newman, confidant of Nanado. Where does the president come in here? Officials who have been assigned materials to do registration at identified sites have been accused of doing registration during the night. Let the police be assisted by the National Identification Authority officials to make sure that anybody who has fouled the law be brought to book. Where comes in here, Evans, myself, I've not been registered under the NIA yet. They are not in my region now. So where does MPP come in facilitating to do what? It's NIA registration. What has that got to do with the national register that we have? I already have my ID card. The EC says it will, in 2020, compile a new register. If they do not compile, I have my voter ID card. Would anybody take it away from me? I think that the NDC have failed to get out of their loss in the 2016 elections, and they are confused. And the kind of politics they are doing, I don't think will take anybody anywhere.
Just out of curiosity, this bust that the police made last night, and the one before that where foreigners, Nigerians, for example, were registered. How keenly interested in the MPP is in getting to the bottom of this, because it might affect you as well.
Yes, there's an authority in place. They've engaged people to do specific assignments. Issues like this must be investigated by the authority and ensure that the corporates are brought to book. Evans,
have you
under the law, it is for Ghanaians to be registered, non-Ghanaians to be registered as such. It is for the authority to look into it. It's not for NDC to sit in their so-called comfort zone and make unnecessary allegations against the New Patriotic Party. This is not what Ghanaians want. Nanado is on his way moving Ghana to another level, not dealing in such petty politics.
And very, very quickly and briefly, this house in North Kaneshie and the lady who has been arrested, is she or is the MPP aware of any of the registration and this particular individual in question?
Evans, I'm not aware. I'm not. The New Patriotic Party is not. There are a lot of NI registration officers in those districts, and we don't know where each of them are residing at the end of their daily process. So there's no high rules for people. If they happen to find accommodation in an individual residence, does it mean that it is MPP that has procured accommodation for all the NI registration officials? That is impossible.
Let me bring it. Let me bring it, Kamba. Mr. Kamba, so what is the NDC going to do now? The police is investigating. Are you leaving this entirely?
In fact, I was with the police and the commander in charge, Madame Tinge, Ifya Tinge, and I told them that this will come to naught because it's not going to go anywhere. The MPP is fully aware. The MPP is behind this act of stealing and thievery.
But Mr. Kamba, I'm sorry, but you haven't given the evidence. The man has just denied it. You're repeating it. If you can give me evidence, of course I'll entertain it.
Denying it doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Yes, I get it. But to contradict him, you need to provide some concrete evidence so that we can then hold yours above his.
A court would then all say that I'm not guilty. Meanwhile, he's a thief. So what I'm saying is that we have people on the ground, and they know. And the woman, actually, Gifty Boateng, actually confirmed that this whole thing has been going on in her house for about a week. And it just didn't happen. And yesterday, as what we saw, today, the police seem not to get the person. And what the district officer said is that these people are trained and imposed on them. I mean, you just liken it to what happened in Iowa Wogan when the police actually denied that they didn't know the gentleman that came to do the shootout.
Just for the sake of time, you say, well, you've told the police already that the investigations will come to naught. What does the NDC plan to do about this now?
For that, you will hear from us later.
I'm grateful that you joined us. That is Joshua Kamba. He's a national organizer of the NDC. Speaking to us about this earlier, you heard the Director of Elections of the NPP, Evans Nimako. There's a fundamental question that the NIA must answer, and it revolves around the protocols, because as they've already admitted to us, and you've heard it on this show, that in fact the equipment used, indeed is equipment belonging to the National Identification Authority. So how did these individuals come by this equipment and the materials that they were using to register these people illegally in the dead of night in a private residence? What is the protocol, for example, and when registration is officially done after 5 p.m. for taking custody of these equipment so it doesn't end up in